Hog butchery.
That
Hog butchery. Okay. Typically, we will butcher a whole set of hog, and it's about 250-pound animal, just about, with a head on, still attached, and it takes a whole week to butcher the whole hog. Okay. We're not going to butcher the whole hog here. Okay. If you guys, I'm not taking a look at the shopping list. Let me pull it up real quick and show you what it looks like and what you're walking into this week. But we are going to be talking about butchering a whole hog and the benefits of it. Okay.
Are the people in the hybrid class going to butcher the hog?
They are going to butcher. They're going to get a bone-in pork loin. I'm going to show my demo how to break it down, and they're going to break it down from there, and they're going to use it for sausages and what have you not. Okay. So this is your homepage, right? This is what you're looking at, right? This is week 1. Okay. If you guys are missing the lecture for week 1, it is right here at the bottom. It is recorded and loaded up. See, here it is, from the table, week 1 lecture. There it is. You guys want to go back and take a look at it, okay? Week 2, okay? Whole hog butchery and lecture. And then Tuesday, grinding and preserving. So break down the animal, okay? Whatever you guys buy, break it down, and you're going to make also some sausages, okay? So here's week 2 shopping list. Let's see if I can. There you go, okay? Shopping list for this week, okay? Obviously, you're not going to get a half pasture hog. That's a huge animal. It's about 250 pounds, okay? That's about $1,100 the pig, okay? You are going to go buy a bone-in pork shoulder, a pork loin, and pork ribs, 1 rack, and also some chicken liver, okay? Butter, cream eggs, skim mozzarella, onion, celery, carrots, green peppers, shallots, parsley, mushrooms, cabbage, tomatoes, garlic, basil, oregano, grained rice, white wine, white vinegar, bread flour, AP flour, panko, instant yeast, diced pineapple, whole grain mustard. Okay, that is your shopping list for this week. Okay. If you have deep pockets, if you have the space, you may buy the whole side of the pig if you want to. Okay, but it's not required. Okay. So that is your shopping list. Okay. It is not. It was the same as the for week 1, but it was updated. Okay. So let's talk about whole hog butchery. Okay. How much do you think that the whole hog costs per pound? It's already dressed.
I think it's about maybe $2.75 a pound or something in that range.
Close enough. Anyone else?
About $7, $8 a pound.
$7, $8. Who said 4?
I did.
Yep. It's around $4 a pound, and it's a 250-pound side of hog. So $4 times 250, it equals about almost $1,000, right? So that's how much 1 hog costs. If you buy the pre-cut pork chops, pork tenderloin, pork loin, bone-in ham, so forth, so on, pork shoulder, Boston butt, it's going to run you up between $8 to $12 a pound. You're paying for the labor. You're not spending for the meat. You're paying for somebody to cut it for you. Okay. So,
Hey,
yes.
Sorry to interrupt you, but you said that we was going to be making sausages and everything.
Yep.
Okay. How are we supposed to make the sausages and we don't have the equipment to do so? If we don't have the equipment to do so.
I'm going to go with that in the next few minutes.
All right.
Okay. I'm going to go with that in the next few minutes. Okay. Because not everybody has
Plastic wrap.
Anywho.
Stuff for stocking, wrapping in plastic wrap.
Bingo, hot dog style. Number 201.
All right.
Okay.
What I was saying is, how are we supposed to grind it down if we ain't got the equipment to do so?
Knife skills, sharp knife.
All right, hurt.
Yep. Okay.
Knife skills. Yeah.
So whole hog butchery. If you have a grinder, more power to you. If you have a KitchenAid mixer, you have a grinder attachments, go for it. You don't have any hot casings, you may do it like hot dog style from 2-1, but we'll get that in a few minutes, okay? So whole hog butchery, it's about $4 a pound. You're looking at about $1,000. But the whole pig, you can have your bacon from your pork belly. You can also get about 6 quarts of lard, okay? 6 quarts of lard. You can also do about maybe 20 pounds of sausages, different kinds of sausages. You can also do a brine of ham and smoke it. You can also take that head and do a porchetta de testa or a cheese head.
Head cheese.
Oh, head cheese. Okay. Head cheese. And there's only 2 parts of the animal that are not edible. You guys know which ones are they?
Lungs.
Home pig.
I went over that. I went over that in last block and regional. You guys should know that, right? Anyone?
The lungs and the brain.
No. Well,
No, I think it's the ears, right?
no.
No, the lungs cannot be eaten.
The lungs and what else?
The eyes.
No.
The eyes and head cheese.
Yep.
And the liver.
The colon.
Nope. Actually, the sphincter is a muscle. You when you fabricate it, you can sprinkle a little bit of salt and grill it. It's very tender. It's a sphincter muscle. It's about maybe a half a pound or so. Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
It's actually,
I'm not going there.
We had it in the last couple of blocks, and one of the students they all tried it and then they liked it. So but the lungs and the nipples of the pig. The nipples are very bitter and astringent. You can eat it, but it's not going to be very flavorful. But definitely the lungs. The FDA does not allow you to eat the lung, or the USDA. You cannot eat the lungs because that's where they breathe. Okay. If you look at the internet, it's going to say the squeal. You cannot eat the squeal, meaning the lungs. Okay. So the lungs are not edible. Okay. So whole hog butchery, the lungs and the nipples, right? Everything else, it's edible. Okay. Again, you can make about 6-8 quarts of lard. Take the head cheese, or do porchetta de testa, where you skin the head. It looks like a mask. Set it aside. Take the whole head and the skull, eyes, tongue, and everything. Boil it overnight. Take the skull out. Pull all the meat out. Take that broth. Strain it through a fine chinois with cheesecloth. Reduce it. Add some aromatics. Once you have all the meat pulled out, set it in a little low pan. Set the meat in it and pour the kind of lukewarm stock in it that's nice and clarified, and let it sit overnight. And it's going to congeal. Okay.
Get you some crackers. That's game over.
Yep. It's actually really flavorful because it tastes like has the flavor of the brine in it. Okay. The tail can also be eaten too. Of course, the trotters, the ham hocks, the ham, the ribs, the pork belly, anything and everything is consumed. Nothing goes to the trash except the nipples. Okay.
That's sauce, right? Sauce. SOUS. Sauce. Trout. Yeah. That's good too. I like head cheese better.
Oh, it's really good.
Could you like dry up the nipples and let your dog chew on them if you wanted to give them to a dog for a treat?
Sure. Give me a rawhide, yeah.
Animal abuse.
Give me a rawhide, yeah, that's fine. And even the skin. Okay, the skin can also be utilized, but it takes elbow grease to remove all that lard from the skin. It is really tough to remove all that lard. But the skin you can make chicharrones, which is fried pork skins, or you can pickle the skin. In Mexico, they call it cueritos, pickle skin. Delicious.
I had it. It's
right?
not all that.
It's good. Delicious.
It's too vinegary for me. I don't like that.
It's like eating bread and butter pickles. Not.
No.
Anyway, so whole hog butchery. Much of the meat's flavor comes from the fat. People are starting to embrace fattier cuts, and cooking with pork lard is making a comeback. Yes, because the fat is what gives you the flavor. Remember, for the regional, you guys use quite a bit of bacon, and you guys render some items in the bacon. Even when you cook collard greens, you use the bacon fat to give it flavor. Okay. With the welcome of the full flavor, lard-laden pork, the fat, furry Mangalese heritage breed of the pig, native to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, is getting popularity, known as the Kobe beef. Remember we talked about last block and regional. Kobe beef is core Buddha. The Berkshire Heritage. The only pork you're allowed to eat medium rare at about 145 degrees. Okay, the Corbuta or Berkshire pork of the pork world. The meat is marbled in fat, stores plentiful, and is said to be their fat is less saturated than normal pig fat, and also tastes lighter than the cleaner too. Farmers are crossbreeding them to other breeds to get a pig that grows fast and has a lot of fat. The one we broke down as anyways, that was the writer. Okay, joining a pig is different from the traditional butchering. You separate the joints. You don't need big knives or saws. You only need a scimitar, a boning knife, and a saw to break down the pig. Okay, so that's what the kind of things you need. Okay. Anyway, so we talk about every part of the pig has been used except about 2 cups of the glands that were thrown out. Liver and the pancreas were saved for pate. Hooves made into spam. Meat scrapped into sausages. Bones cooked into stock. Skin to chicharrones. The ears are cooked and sliced. Fat rendered down into lard, and the head will become pozole. Sometimes we use the pig's feet for pozole, but the head we use it for head cheese. Okay. Keep in mind there are only 2 tenderloins on the pig. Only 2. That's why they're so expensive, and not many pork chops often. So in a traditional food chains, many lesser value parts of the pig get thrown out. So eating the whole pig will require more creativity and adventurous spirit, but it's a sustainable way to reduce food waste in our system and stretch out pork-eating pleasure. Okay. So the benefits and cost of buying a whole hog or a side of hog. Save money on a whole hog or a half. Okay. Again, if you have a large family, you want to have them down, get a side of the hog. One of the ways our parents and grandparents saved money was purchasing a whole animal rather than buying individual cuts. The same money saving principles hold true today. If you like to go this route, there's everything you need to know about the process. Back in the days, you had those deep freezers. In the wintertime, you get the pig, slaughter it, use everything, minus the lungs and squeal, and of course, So the process, okay, the raised pigs in the farm until about 7 months old and weigh approximately 250, 300 pounds. Okay, then they take the pigs to the USD processor where they dress them up for you. Okay, what else? A 250-pound live hog on the hoof, which weighs about 180 pounds dressed. Carcass on the rail, which is about 144 pounds. Retail cuts, cut wrap, and bring home. You can also take it to the processor and the process for you. Okay, but you got to pay that extra fee. Not all the pig is edible. Average about 57 of a hog. Make it from the pen to the pan. About 250-pound hog will yield about approximately 144 pounds of retail cuts. 20% of the hog's live weight is an edible product removed during the slaughter and dressing procedure, bringing our 250-pound live hog to 180 pounds dressed. Still, it's quite heavy. Okay, it takes about 3 to carry that pig from to the table. Once the carcass is thoroughly chilled, it can be cut into retail cuts where another 20% of the weight is removed, bringing it to 180 pounds. Carcass to 144 pounds of retail cuts. Hams and bacon are typically cured and smoked after cutting. The freezing compartment, most modern refrigerated freezers combos accommodate a half a hog. As a general rule, 50 pounds of meat will fit in about 2.25 cubic feet of cooler freezer space. Meat from the typical hog will consist of approximately 12 to 14 pounds of pork chops, 1 or 2 packages of spare ribs, 3 pounds total, 3 shoulder roast or steaks, 12 pounds total, 2 hocks, 6 to 10 pounds of ground pork and or sausage, 1 ham hand and slices. It's about 50 to 80 pounds, and about 8 to 10 pounds of bacon. Okay. The cost of a whole hog is about $60, okay, per pound, and half a hog is about $6.50 a pound. This is based on the actual weight of the amount of meat that you receive back. For all the purchases here, there's not a refundable deposit, so you can buy one for at least about $1,000. Okay. So pork cuts. Here we go. There are 4 primal cuts on the pig. You got the shoulder, the loin, the belly, and the leg. Okay. And those are the 4 main cuts of the pig. Those are the primal cuts, and everything else from that becomes a subprimal cuts. And it's really not that hard to break down the pig. It is really not. You just got to know where to cut, and most of it is just your knife and the saw. Okay. Subprimal, you get the sirloin, the pork chop, loin roast, the lard, of course, the blade pork steaks, Boston butt. Boston butt comes from the shoulder, by the way. The picnic butt, the shoulder, the bacon square, the smoked cottage rolls, okay, the bacon, the fresh ham and roast. So pork, it's a very popular and versatile meat due to its size. It can be merchandised and delivered as a whole inside, so broken down into primals. Okay, the majority of the pork comes from the choice butcher hogs that are about 6 months old. Again, entire dressed hog carcass, again, it's maybe 165 pounds. Okay.
Could you go back to the last slide for just a moment, Chef Miguel?
This one?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to get a shot of that one. Thank you.
Okay. Now we're gonna show you to the guy that cuts it in the 20 minutes. Okay. So the pork. So the first step is to separate the head. You got to remove the head from the pig. Okay. Oftentimes the pig's head arrives already separated. However, if not cut as near as possible to the head bone. Divide the vertebrae joint and cut the head off. Okay. I think you guys were in foundation where I was sitting in front of the table and we rolled the pig out that one day. Okay. So remove the head. The head, as mentioned before, almost nothing on the pig has to go to waste. That includes the head, even though many people are reluctant to use it because it does have a face. And after all, there are some of the great meals on the head, as you shouldn't underestimate the value. You can make porchetta de testa, ears, and also the skull. Do you guys know what the porchetta de testa is all about? Do you guys ever had it?
No, chef.
Okay. So porchetta de testa, you skin the whole head. The whole head, you skin it. Okay. It's like you remove the mass from the pig. Same as the head cheese. You take the head and boil it, take it out, remove the meat. Okay. Put the meat back in the face with the cheek meat on it, tie it, vacuum seal it, sous vide it for 24 hours. Okay, but you're gonna pull the ears forward to cover the eyes. Once it's sous vide, you bring it out, let it cool overnight, take it to the smoker and smoke it for about 8 to 10 hours, bring it out, and then let it cool, and then slice it. That's a porchetta de testa. Okay. Is really, really flavorful too. Okay. 2, take out the tenderloins. Okay. Tenderloin runs along the spine and ends in the hind quarter of the pig, the hip of the pig. Stick your hand in there and feel between the leg and the loin for a thick sinews. You do a round, sweeping a cut through the sinews between the fat and the hip bone. There are 2 tenderloins for the entire pig. Only 2. That's why it's, again, so expensive. That's so saving for something very special. Okay. So when you get pork tenderloins, don't try to overcook him and, grind him up and chop him up. Either do a nice pork tenderloin or do medallions or something more on the fancier side of the spectrum. Okay. The loin section, some great meat in the loin as well. It's a lot of muscle equals a lot of meat. And on the pig, this does not come from the cost of fat or flavor. More meat also means there's more room to trim your cuts and visually appealing masterpieces that will make some jaws drop in the next barbecue. You get the boneless pork loin roast, the French pork loin roast, the pork chops, bone in and bone out, tenderloin, back fat, and skin and fat. So the French pork loin roast, we could leave the loin with the ribs attached, you Frenched it, and you roast the whole thing. And it's a nice show for a holiday. You slice the chops and give everybody their chop. Okay. The shoulder of the pig, a lot of great cuts in the shoulder. Many of them roast, but it's a lot of lean meat in there for you to enjoy. There's a list of the cuts that come from the shoulder. Again, this is the subprimals. Okay, you get the pork butt, shoulder roast, pig neck roast, the copa when you can wrap it, roast it and slice it. Okay, copa steaks, you can still wrap it, tie it, and have nice little steaks. Pork brisket, pork Denver, the presa, spare ribs, the hocks, the trotter, skin and fat. Again, a lot of skin. Okay. Step 3, the ham bone. That is a pain to the bone. Separate the trotter and the second joint from the ham. It's a pain because it's got so many bones in it. Next, you'll move the leg, feel where the joint connects and pop them apart. If you don't have a place, you can cut the meat, make a ham, prosciutto, or jamon serrano. If not, cut through the seam to remove the meat around the bone. That is right here on this area where it has the joint and the cut. it is very, very hard to separate the top part from this right here. And if you're going to go deeper right here in this area, okay, right with the base of the ham, it's also very hard to fabricate. And right on the hip joint, to separate the ham from the ribs and the spinal bone, it's also very hard to separate. There's a lot of bones back here, okay? The ham section, the final out of the 4 primal cuts, the ham includes the wide range of taste and texture from pork cutlets to the femur bone, great pork broth. There's also cuts you can expect to find in the pork ham: cutlets, sirloin steaks, sirloin tip roast, bottom round roast, eye round roast, stew meat, top cap, hock, trotter, and femur bone. Okay, and of course the next one you got to remove the shoulder. Okay, cut down between the ribs, 5 ribs in the first, then cut between the 5th and the 6th rib. That is an easy cut. You just got to have a sharp knife to cut through that skin. Okay, it's just slide right through, and it does. And then you got to stick it on the edge of the table and break it in half, and it comes off. The spine will hold it in place, so snap that. Okay. Step 5: separate the belly and the loin. That's also an easy part too, except for the hip part. Remove the fat, lard, and some membrane. Nick the ribs, and with the rib stripper on your hand, remove them clean. Clean the meat and fan off the bones, and use later for sausages. So you can take all the meat scraps and use it for sausages. Set the rib bones aside to make stock. Separate the loin cuts. The belly's marbled meat and fat, that's bacon. Okay, remember the belly is for the bacon. That's where you get our bacon. Or you can tie it and make a pancetta too as well. Okay. The belly of the hog. The belly is another great primal cut. Although there's not much meat in this cut, there's still some great flavor, including everybody's bacon. Bacon, gotta love bacon. One thing you have to take care before cutting into the meat is removing the gland from the flank section. Fortunately, it has such a bitter taste. It's one of the few parts the pig you cannot use. Having done that, here are some cuts coming from the belly of your pig. Pork belly, secreto, pork ribs, various types. The kidney, yes, that can go into the head cheese as well too. Okay, leaf lard. That leaf lard is huge. It's like a tenderloin. Okay, and you can just peel it with your hand. Trim and skin the fat. Again, more skin. Okay. And the trotters, if you want to separate the pig's feet from the ham hocks, here it's going to be really hard because it has so many bones. Okay. So search for the joint between the hock and the knuckle. Then cut around the knuckle. Then take the trotters and cut them open to make spam or stock. We use this to make pozole. It has a lot of protein, a lot of collagen. So we make pozole in regionals. That's what we use. Okay, instead of the head.
My grandma said they used to just boil it because it had too many bones when she was growing up.
This got way too many bones. Even for pozole, when you pick through the bones, the meat is like sand. So many little bones. You got to pick through them so you can take the meat and use it in the pozole. But you're right, it's got a lot of bones. It's a
bones. They cook with it. Trotters.
Yeah, a lot of bones.
I don't like picking pig feet.
And also too, you can do what's it called? I forgot the other name. Another pochero de testa, where you take the leg of the pig, you separate it from the hip, or maybe the shoulder. You separate the whole leg. You take the leg and you debone the skin. You debone the skin and pull it from the bone. It looks like a big giant one of those 50 gloves. Okay, it's only the skin. So you got the hooves, the skin, but nothing in it. Okay, you take some of the meat.
Like a
No. I forget what it's called. The breast. It's called the breastling pig. You take the one of the front legs. You skin it. You skin the whole thing. Skin the whole thing. It takes some time because you got to go through not to tear the skin apart. So you skin it and pull the skin all the way back and remove the bones and the meat, and you boil that. And then you take out as much meat as you can, and you stuff the skin. Looks like a giant elbow glove. You stuff it back in there with all that meat and extra meat from the pig. You tie it, you bread it, flour, egg wash, breadcrumbs, and you pan fry it. You let it sit, and then you slice it. It's called the breastling pig. It's really, really delicious too. Okay, but it's just a pain because you got to remove the skin from the leg. Okay. Step 7, remove the skin. Slide the fillet knife under the skin and separate the skin from the flesh in the long. Steady strokes, set the skin aside, make chicharrones. And there's a lot of skin. A lot of skin, you got to remove as much fat as you can, okay? To make chicharrones, you remove the skin, remove as much fat as you can, dehydrate over 24 hours, cut small pieces and dehydrate it. And then once it's dehydrated, you can fry it and it puffs up, okay? Remove the roast and steaks, separate the shoulder and neck. If using a paring knife, you follow the pockets of the sinew fat and make even light cuts through this. This will naturally cut into the steaks and roasts. This is less traditional way of doing it, but it will result in far less waste. The only parts you need to discard is the glands. You come across this small little lumps on the sinews, just cut, pull them away, throw them away. Don't continue to do this to the thighs and hips, the roast and steaks. Number 9. Remove the hem hock. The hem hock or knuckle is near the joint. Cut around the joint and break it off. Set these meatballs aside for the cooking. So for some bean soup. Here we go. Okay. So I'm gonna pop this. I'm gonna share the link on the chat too. This is the breakdown of the pig, and this is he's going to talk about and show you guys what we actually. How do we take down break down the pig? And it's really interesting. You see some cuts that it just takes a little bit of force, and they do break up that easy. Okay. If anybody's interested in buying a pig, okay. Here we go. This guy's really good.
My name is Brian Mayer.
Looks like micro.
Educator and writer. Today we're here at Wildwood Farms where we're going to break down half a pig into cuts that you would see at your local.
Chev, I really can't hear that at all.
So the first thing that we're going to do is we remove the leaf lard. Leaf lard is the most neutral of all fats, which means it doesn't have a lot of taste to it. Traditionally, it would be used in things like pie crust and stuff like that before the advent of shorts. So right here, I'm just kind of removing a bit of the flank section. This is just sort of a preliminary.
Hey, Chef, got a question.
Back later in terms of remove.
Yes.
How come? Why is it like so urgent that we have to take the pork head off?
The which one?
The head. You were saying like as soon as you get it, if it's still removed, we gotta remove it. Like, why do we have to take it off so fast?
It makes it easier to fabricate the pig after that, because otherwise you'll hang it. You'll be having this 20, 30, 40 pound head just flopping around in your way.
Oh, okay.
It'll be cumbersome, so you gotta take it off. Makes it light, because you're gonna move that pig around so quite often, and that flopping 40-pound head is just gonna be in your way.
Okay.
Moving the sirloin section, but that just kind of gets it out of the way and also makes it a little bit easier to pull the tenderloin. So along with the leaf lard, one of the first things we'll do is also remove the kidney. Kidneys are wonderful. I usually grind them with my grind and put them into sausage.
So that's the leaf part, the leaf fat right here. See how big it is on the top? That's a leaf. Okay.
Does it render all the way down like bacon fat?
Yeah, but you gotta collect all the fat and you gotta put it in water and just little simmer it, let it go the distance. And it takes about 6 to 8 hours. And the texture should be nice and smooth. If it's too gritty, the heat was too high or it was too short of a simmering. But you collect all the fat. Forget the how much is it? The water rates of the fat. I think it's about 2 gallons for every 4 pounds of fat. And just let it go, and let it sit overnight. And then the water will separate from the fat. The fat will be on top, and the water will be on the bottom. And just go ahead and dig it with your hands and save the fat.
Oh, nice.
So here I just follow along the lumbar vertebrae right to where it turns into.
What he's doing with the knife, the technique is called the seam cut. Okay, he's doing a seam cut to remove the parts of the pig.
To the sacral vertebrae and right into the H-bone. And I just follow along a very natural seam. And you can very easily pull off the tenderloin once you sever those first connections. It almost comes off by hand. So here we're going to remove the shoulder section. For our purposes today, I was counting between the fifth and the sixth.
In the 6th rib, okay? To remove the shoulder. 5th and the 6th rib. and you gotta go through the whole skin at the bottom and cut it because the skin is so tough. Remember, this pig has been sitting in the cooler, refrigerated for days and days.
Right. And that's traditionally where a butcher hog would be broken. If we were cutting it for charcuterie, we would want to elongate certain muscles. So we would cut between, say, the 6 and the 7 for charcuterie. And what I'll be able to do is basically joint. So I'll be able to remove this section without sawing. And what that does is that helps the life of the carcass. I'm not sawing through something, so I'm not generating heat.
Then he turns it. See how wrestling? See how it's going to turn it? If he had the head attached to it, we really have to turn the pig. What's going to do? Sit on the table and break that piece off. Okay.
Which will cause the muscles to oxidize.
There you go. See.
And I'm also not injecting a little bit of the bone dust into the muscle. So now I'm going to remove just a little bit more of that flank section. And you can see back here with that skin, this hog is hung for about 7 days, so it's really dry. So that skin is pretty tough to break through. So I'm just moving it out of the way because what I want to do is expose this last vertebrae in the lumbar section. And what I'll be able to do here is the same thing. I'll use the weight of the animal to joint and not have to saw. And that just comes off fairly easily.
Easy.
And then so the last cut is to separate the belly from the loin section. And here we want to make sure that.
So when you separate the belly from the rib section, you use the hand saw straight across, not at an angle, straight across. And you only want to go cut through the bones, not to the skin, not to the meat, because once you cut through the bones, then you use your knife, scimitar, and start cutting. Because the saw is not going to cut through the meat; it's going to be all congested, or full of
we get a nice enough of a tail, a nice enough of a rib bone on our pork chop, without cutting our bellies incredibly short. Bellies get turned into bacon. Bacon is a great value-added product for butchers. Everybody loves bacon, so it's definitely within the butcher's best interest to have as much bacon as possible. So these are the 4 primals: your shoulder,
loin, the ham, and the belly. 4 primals.
Loin, belly, and ham, along with your tenderloin, leaf lard, kidney, and the head. And then from here, we're going to break them down into other cuts. So we've got the shoulder section here, which consists of the butt, the picnic, and then a hock and a trotter. Here, what we're doing is removing the trotter from the rest of the arm bone. I was planning to do zamponi, but with the skin being as dry as it was, I thought maybe we'd joint the leg instead. So first, the trotter comes off. Then we're going to locate the joint between the ulna, the radius, and the humerus. We'll cut across, and then we'll use the weight of the entire shoulder to break that piece off. And so we're going to saw the picnic and the butt in half, right along this natural curve in the spine. You don't want to saw through muscle, so we'll stop, we'll make a cut, and then again, a bit of the scapula is still in there. So we'll stop, we'll saw again, make our way through that bone. Once we're through that bone, we'll continue to cut through again. So now we have our 2 sections. We have the top portion, which is the butt, and the bottom is the picnic. So here I'm just removing the spine, and that's a really great cut to use if you are making something like pork rillettes. And so what you would do is you would take those bones along with some fat, some spices, and some alcohol, cook those things down, drain off the fat, peel the meat off the bone, put that meat in a jar, pour the fat on top of it, wait for it to solidify, grab a baguette, and eat. Here what I'm doing is I'm seaming out the longissimus muscle and some of the other shoulder muscles, and I'm just following right along the shoulder blade. It's a very natural seam there that can just peel right away. And there I'm just pulling off a little bit of that excess fat. That fat will get used in sausage, that fat will get rendered to cook with later, and the skin is really great. We can take skin and turn it into things like chicharrones, or we can just add it to our stock. So here I'm just following this very natural seam, and I'm removing the longissimus muscles, which will make up the copa, from the bottom portion of that muscle, which is the serratus, which will get cut into the pork tender. So here I'm just removing a bit of the scapula that's still left in. Traditionally, this would get turned into sausage. And I think it's really great that we pulled the top half of this section away and used this for steaks and for roasts. And we're really trying to minimize the amount of trim off here. So here I'm just following along the natural seam, and I'm going to remove a little bit of the skin. And what we can do is we'll just turn this into a boneless, skinless pork roast. These muscles in this particular part are pretty tough, so they're going to need low, moist heat to break down all that connective tissue and collagen. Here I'm following the natural seam, and what I'm removing would be what is considered the short rib or spare rib. These I'll leave whole, or what I can do is cut them into individual spare ribs. One of the really great things about pig is every bit is usable, from the blood, from the skin, from all the offal that's allowed to be used. I think that the only one that we're not allowed to use are the lungs, but really everything gets used. And I think that pigs really exemplify whole animal butchery. What I'm pulling off here is something that you don't normally see, and it's the pork brisket. And again, it's just another way to have a sort of more usable, versatile, slow cooking roast. I'm going to take the remaining section and I'm going to tie that up into a full roast. And here I'm just basically squaring it off, just making it into a sort of a more manageable, useful cut. So here's a breakdown of the shoulder.
All the subprimus in the shoulder. You got the trotter, the hock, the butt, the copa, which can be turned and tied to a roast. The pork denver, the spare ribs, pork brisket, the picnic, the skin and fat, and more skin and fat. That's from the shoulder. All those come from the shoulder.
And now what I'm going to do is trim and clean these cuts in a way that you might see them in a butcher shop. So I'm just removing silver skin. Maybe if there's excess fat, I'm getting rid of it. Maybe if there's some oxidized areas. One of the things that I love to do with hocks is to pierce the skin, and what that's going to allow is some of the moisture to escape while it slow cooks. So that'll get that really puffy skin. Here I'm taking the spare ribs, and all I'm doing is just separating them right between each rib. So that's the pork brisket. I'm just going to remove some excess fat. Again, something that you don't normally see, but it's a fun cut to try. Here we're just kind of removing some of that excess fat, and that'll go into getting rendered, or that'll go into sausage. And then again, the skin gets used in stock. The skin you can make chicharrones, which is wonderful and great, but is a long, arduous process. Another great thing that you can do with skin is pet treats, and it's a really, really healthy snack for them. So now I'm working with the picnic that we have left after we remove the brisket. So here I'm scoring it, and I'm going down a little bit into the fat, because what I want is that fat to render and almost self-baste while I slow cook this. And again, I can smoke this, or I can just very easily just put it in the oven at a very low temp and let that cook. It's going to take a substantial amount of time. So this is the section of the shoulder where we remove the scapula. I'm scoring it just to make it nicer visually. And here we'll just tie this, which will keep the shape more consistent so it'll cook more evenly. So we'll take the trotter and we'll split it in half. We'll expose the center of that trotter, and that collagen will render much easier into our stock. Next up, we have all the longissimus muscles. And those are the longest muscle group in the body. And so it'll be the eye in your pork chop, or is the copa. And that's what we're going to do here is we are going to tie a copa.
If the copa is nice and tender, just grill it, a little bit of salt, man, it's delicious. But if you ever cook it, it becomes tough.
Copa roast, but then also cut copa steaks. So here are the final cuts from our shoulder. Some of these cuts, if not all, you'll find in your local butcher shop. So the next section that we have here is the belly. So here I'm just following along the spare rib bones, long sweeping strokes, trying to leave as much muscle as I can on the belly side and trying to remove the spare ribs in as few strokes as possible. Because the belly, turning it into bacon is a great way for butchers to have a value-added product. So here I'm just going to follow along the natural seam. And you can see that the secreto, or this abdominal muscle, easily pulls away from the remainder of the belly. And there's lots of opinions as to where the secreto comes from. I like to pull it from the belly because it's the most easily accessible and it's got great flavor and a lot of fat. Here I'm removing a little bit of the gland in the flank section. Unfortunately, glands are one of the things that we really can't use, very bitter in taste. So something like this, you don't want to have a gland in. So the main part of
that's what the you get rid of the nipples too because they're so bitter in taste. So you throw them out.
The belly would be the bacon, and bacon really is just salt and thyme, and then maybe a little bit of smoke. Belly can be turned into many different kinds of bacon, from streaky bacon or slab bacon, Canadian bacon, rasher, jowl bacon, so many different kinds of things. And these are the cuts that you can get off the belly. So next up, we have the loin section, which includes the tenderloin.
We're gonna get that tomorrow without the skin though, for Miss Heather and Mr. Ron, okay?
There's lots of different
Good
cuts
chef.
that you can get off the loin, bone in, bone out, roasts, steaks. So what we're going to do here is we're going to remove this section of the loin from the rest of the loin, which is basically cutting between the vertebrae and then removing all the muscle without having to saw through it. We'll later turn that into a boneless loin roast. So here what I've opted to do is cut a different style of pork chop with the chine bone attached. So I'm splitting between each vertebrae, sawing through a bit of the rib section, and then just following along the natural path of the rib. And so I'll remove a full pork chop with the chine on. And the other thing I like to do with these is leave all the fat on, as well as the skin. They have a few different muscles included in there that are going to change the texture, and that texture is going to change the flavor a little bit. So to counter that, nice and fatty with the skin on as well. For the remainder of the loin, what I'm going to do is chine. I'm lining my saw right at the base of the spine and just a couple of quick bursts. And once I'm through that section, take the tip of my blade and I'll work around each little piece of the vertebrae. So here I'm just following down the feather bones that are on the back side of the spine, and we'll remove the section of the vertebrae. And again, I'll save this for stock, things like that. So here I'm just following the rib bone and cutting through the vertebrae and just cutting some bone-in pork chops. Here, the skin will be off as well as the chine bone being off. So this is a part of the loin towards the rear of the animal, back towards an area where there are finger bones and not rib bones. So I've removed the spine and finger bones, I've skinned it, and here I'm just removing excess fat. It's always a balance between too much fat, too little fat. Me personally, I love a ton of fat, but it's something that we slowly have to initiate customers into buying. And then here, I'm going to just score it again just for some presentation, and then I'll tie it. And that tying will keep it in a more uniform shape, and that will aid in a more even cooking. So the last part, we're going to tie something that's sort of traditional holiday roast, if you will. So we're going to tie what is essentially a pork standing rib roast. Skin off, leave a good amount of fat on, not too much, and expose or French the ribs. And really, this is all just presentation. Personally, I love to leave all that fat and meat on the bone, but for presentation's sake, it looks really nice. So to go ahead and French a bone, first you want to scrape between the bone and remove any of the intercostal meat. So that's the meat in between each bones. And then really, it just depends on how you feel like doing it. I kind of do a version where I scrape off as much meat and then I'll take a clean rag and use that rag to pull on. Some people.
So from the bone-in pork loin, you can make that French cut French pork loin roast.
Really want to see clean bones. I think I'd leave some meat on there just because I'm so anti-Frenching things. So here we're going to remove the skin. And again, we're left with some fat and some skin, all of which will be utilized. So the tenderloin is the most tender muscle in the body. What that equates to is a lack of flavor. So to help mitigate that, I leave a good amount of fat, or as much fat as I possibly can. But one of the things that we will have to remove is the silver skin. So that fascia isn't going to break down when you roast it normally. Here are the final cuts from the loin that you'll likely see at your butcher shop. So here we have the final traditional primal, the ham with the sirloin attached. So much like we did on the front arm, we're going to do on the rear. Removing the rear trotter is very similar to removing the front trotter. We're going to look for that joint. We're going to look for articulation in the tarsal bones, and we're going to cut around and then use the table to help us separate that from the hock. What we're going to do is we're going to debone around the sirloin. So first we'll remove part of the sacral vertebrae, and then we'll remove part of the hip that's still attached to the H bone. And what that allows me to do is make sure I just remove the bone and not pull muscle with it. So it's a much cleaner way of removing those bones. So I'll cut between that cartilage, remove a bit of the hip.
Where his hand is with the glove in, that's where the sphincter muscle is located.
And then I'll work around the remaining section of the hip into the H bone, around the femur, and then
That's a pain to remove that bone.
pull out that section. The H bone is a fairly tricky bone to remove. There is a tendon that's attached to it. So it's one of the reasons why you don't dislocate your leg. The rear hock is a little bit different from the front arm in that the rear hock has a stiple joint. So it's almost a straight cut through that section. So we'll remove the tibia from the femur by locating an area just below the patella and the kneecap. And that area right below the patella allows us to sever that section very easily. So now we can remove the sirloin section. So we follow right on top of the tip of the femur. And as you can see, we get a much more full piece of sirloin. Great for cutting steaks or turning it into a roast as well. So here's the breakdown of the ham. Next, I'll cut them down even.
So if you leave the trotter attached to the hock, that you can skin it off and make the breast in pig. It is really, really good, but it takes time to remove the skin from the hock and the trotter and not puncture the skin, not with the holes, because it is really easy to cut through it and punch a hole with a knife.
Further into parts that you might see in your butcher case. So here again, I'm just skinning and taking off some of the excess fat. We're going to cut some bone out sirloin steaks. A lot of flavor. There's a lot of muscle groups in there, so that texture is adding to the flavor. I like them much better than a pork chop. So next up, we have the ham and the 4 primary muscles that are included in that: the top round, the sirloin tip, the eye round, and the bottom round. For our purposes, first we're going to skin it, leaving as much fat on as possible. You want to see the shadow of the blade underneath the skin, and that's how you know you're getting a really clean piece. So here we're following the natural seam, and I'm just scoring and following right around the femur. There's a very natural seam there that connects the top round to the bottom round, and we'll remove the top round along those lines. So here what we're doing is removing this top cap. This is the gracilis muscle. The cut that you'll see in butcher shops in the beef case, but you can totally use this in the pork case as well. It's very thin, it's quick cooking, and definitely just a great cut for a couple of portions. There's a good amount of fat on it, so we'll trim that off, as well as removing any of the silver skin or fascia. So with the remainder of the muscles on the leg, what I'd like to do here is just debone it. So I'm just following the bone. And then that femur bone is going into stock. So the remainder of the muscles, the bottom round, the eye round, and the sirloin tip, traditionally would either be left together for a ham, cut into cubes for stew, or going into sausage. But I figured the utility of this is that we can turn all of these into really great roasts. I'm going to pull off a little bit of that excess fat. I'm going to pull off the patella, the kneecap, which is still in the sirloin tip. And then I'm going to tie each of these into individual roasts. And what we'll wind up doing with the top round is taking that and cutting cutlets or Schweinsschnitzel. And then the remainder of the pieces that are left on the leg, I cut those up for stew. So when you're pounding the schnitzel, I use 2 pieces of saran wrap, and you want to make sure that you don't hit directly straight down. You want to push away so as not to push through the muscle. These are the final cuts from the leg that you might find in a butcher's case. And then we have the head, which I like to call the 5th primal. So first things I do is I remove the ears. You can't.
So you can leave the ears on if you're going to do a portillo testa. You don't have to remove them. And it takes some skill to remove the skin out the head too.
Leave them attached, but traditionally what will happen is those will get sliced into strips. They'll get cured along with the head and the tongue, and those will get put into the skin and rolled up and cooked along with it. So I'll remove those. What we're going to do here is something that's very typical in charcuterie, which is removing the entire skin along with the muscle from the skull into something that's called porchetta di testa or fromage de tête. And here I just follow around the skull. I start at the top of the head and then working down along the sides of the skull. So I work in sections. I work one side, loosening it up, And then I'll flip over to the other side, joining them in the middle, right around the forehead, and then peel down the snout of the animal. Just like organ meats, that people have this sort of negative connotation with head, you know, it has a face. And so I can understand that it makes it really difficult for people to even think about consuming. But again, talking about pigs and their overall utility, it's just so great that you can take every single part of this animal and turn it into food. Even when
That's scary looking.
it still has a lot of meat left on it. So you can totally throw that into a pot and that could be your head cheese. And these are the cuts you get from the head.
So that's, we see easily the ears on, you can fold them back and cover the holes in the eyes, and then take whatever scraps meat you got. Again, boil them and then stuff the skin of the head back up again, fold it in so it forms like a kind of a cylindrical shape with the ears covering the eyes. We tie it, sous vide it, take it out, let it sit, and then smoke it for kill the testa.
Watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And then the head, I mean, we pull all the meat out of it, everything, even the eyes, everything. Only leave the bone. So we boil the bone again to remove as much meat as we can. And some students used to leave the skull on top of the smoker out in the back for the herb garden.
Make sure you get that cheap meat.
Yep.
That's the best meat.
These are just some of the many cuts that you can get from the side of a pig.
Look at those tribes. Look at all those chickens.
And that's how you get pork tamales, is with the head.
It's fire.
What do you guys think?
Pretty lengthy.
I don't want to be a butcher. I'm cool with the pieces coming to me already parted.
I miss it because it's quite an experience to break it down the pig. You know, people get freaked out sometimes because, you know, again, it's an animal that was once alive, and we don't kill it. We just get it dressed and we just break it down. You know, it's kind of a psychological thing just to detach yourself from that part of, you know, it was an animal, and then you got this head, you got the skin, and so forth, so on. And it's kind of interesting and educational how to break it down and utilize every single part of the pig. So we used to take this whole week and then do nothing but the pig.
He really made it look easy. His expertise just made that fly past. I was like, okay, this is a week-long process, because it looked like he just, you know, whipped through that pig in no time.
Well, in a class this size, you guys are like, what, 17? So what we would do is go in there with the whole half of the pig, and then we'll start showing you guys how to break it down and give each team their primary best. And it takes about 2 days to remove the fat out of the skin. To really remove it, it takes another day to dehydrate it. And then it takes about 3 days to make chicharrones, whatever you want to make with the skin. So it does take the whole entire week to fabricate that pig and utilize everything minus the glands.
But you really get your money's worth out of it, though. I mean, if it costs you $1,000 just to get it, you know, I mean, shoots, man, you're getting plus that once you get your cuts and everything. So yeah, that's where your money where the money is at. You know what I'm saying? So yes, sir.
Like, you know, so you're talking about, you get stew meat, you get bacon, you get the head cheese or porchero de testa, you get ham, you get ribs. You get roast, you get steaks, you get chops, you get all kinds of things. You get tons of stock too. So you can really utilize most everything and you know, have enough protein for the rest of the month. Feed a family maybe 2 or 4 with a whole half of that hog. So imagine the whole hog. If you guys have the space or the abilities, maybe it's something you want to try on later in the future and see how much, you know, you fill your deep freezer in it. But again, it's about $1,000 to, you know, get the whole side of the hog. So that's the whole hog butchering. Okay. And again, use all the parts, everything. Okay, everything. Okay, and the subprimal cuts, even though he talked about, we're going to still cover a few of those here too. Okay. So with the pork leg, you know, you can get the inside rows, the outside rows, and the leg tip. But again, if you remove, not this one, the front leg, you can make the breast and pig. Okay. So the pork leg is very lean portion of the hog, can be separated into 3 muscle groups: the inside, outside, and the tip. Also contains the heart and the foot. The leg is tender, mostly free from connective tissues, making it ideal for dry heat cooking or cookery. Fresh roasts or steaks are processed from the leg, as well as cutlets. Most commonly, the pork leg is cured, smoked to produce ham. It also can be dry cured for an age to produce prosciutto. Retail the smoked cuts on the leg are also shown in the picture. So again, you can also make prosciutto too. Okay. The pork loin. We're going to get a bone-in pork loin tomorrow. Okay. The pork loin is commonly split into 3 sections: the rib, the sirloin, and the loin center. Alternatively, the pork loin can be split into the end of the tenderloin, labeling the 2 halves as pork loin rib half, pork loin and loin sirloin half. The pork loin is most often merchandised or fresh for chops and roasts. Loin is the most tender primal of the hog, and is ideal for dry heat cookery. It can also be cured and smoked to make favorites such as back bacon. Okay, pork chops, ribs, bacon. Even on Friday when you guys do ribs, you guys have a smoke it. They're not just plain roast the ribs. Okay. The shoulder. The pork shoulder is very popular use for sausage making due to the high fat content. The subprimal pork shoulder blade and pork shoulder picnic derived from the shoulder along the pork hock and the pork foot. It can be merchandised as fresh roast and steaks, cured and then smoking products. And for deli meats such as capicolo, here in the middle, it's capicola. Okay, capicola is delicious. The pork belly, we can get out of ham too. Pork belly contains most of the amount of fat. The hog contains the pork side ribs and the pork breastbone. When the side of the ribs are removed, retail name of the belly is the side pork. This is the section cured and the smoke to make a pork side bacon. The side pork can also be rolled into processed to make pancetta, which is right here on the right-hand side. Pancetta, again, it's just an expensive bacon, but it's pretty much same, but it's a lot leaner. In the pig set, again, you can make, this is the porchetta de testa right here. See, you take the pig, the head, you skin it, you stuff it in the middle top picture, you tie it, you sous vide it, okay? And then you smoke it, and the bottom right hand corner is where the pig set, the porchetta de testa, looks like once you slice it. It is very, very tasty. You can't taste anything in it except the brine and the flavors, the aromatics you put in it, okay? That's the porchetta de testa. Or you can also make head cheese, okay? This is the head cheese. This is the what you see in the right in the middle picture is the clear broth that has been reduced and simmered just like a veal stock overnight for maybe 2 days, 1 or 2 days, and it's very clear. If it is not clear, you got to clarify it like a consomme.
Is that simmered with lemons?
No, it's got thyme, it's got garlic, it's got several aromatics that goes in it. Yeah.
Thank you, chef.
And it's got so much protein and collagen that you don't need to add anything in it to make it firm like that. But again, at room temperature, it'll start melting away like ice. Okay. Head cheese, delicious too, very delicious. Okay. Store sell it, it is expensive. Okay. So that's your whole hog in the nutshell to butcher. Again, to cover the butcher. So you have on your shopping list, you have bone-in pork shoulder, pork loin, pork ribs, and chicken liver. Okay, you're gonna make some pate or terrines to go with it. Okay,
we're doing the shoulder tomorrow.
Right, bone-in pork shoulder tomorrow. Okay,
and we can smoke that, or you don't really.
Yeah, you can smoke it.
Doesn't really matter.
You can smoke it.
Okay. So the Kahlua pig that we did in regional cuisines, we could do that too if we wanted to.
Yeah, we got the banana leaves. You can do like a little pig too. If you can want to dig a hole in the ground, go for it. Just make sure you have your fire extinguisher. You don't no dry leaves around your pit. Make sure you have some bricks or stones to protect that fire from spreading out. And if you don't, you just go ahead and do it in the oven.
Okay.
And again, in the oven, it's where you have the pig already seasoned, wrapped in banana leaves. You put some pineapple juice, some soy sauce, a bit of garlic, wrap in banana leaves, put the stock in it, saran wrap, aluminum foil to cover the saran wrap, pop it in the oven. and let it go for about 3-4 hours, and it should come out nice and tender. But you gotta have that saran wrap on top, and on top of the saran wrap, aluminum foil nice and tight, so it cooks in its own juices and steam.
Okay.
And what is this? This is the pork loin, Chef?
No, this is the morning pork shoulder.
Okay, and we making this tomorrow?
You can do a calor pig, you can do a cochinito de pibil, you know, same process, but it's a different seasonings. Or you can do you can cut it up and do sausages.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So let's go over tomorrow, Tuesday. Okay. So Tuesday, tomorrow you're gonna break it down. Okay. So you're gonna get the bone-in pork shoulder. You're gonna remove the bone, the pork loin. If you get a rib, pork loin, the rib, bone-in pork loin, you can also fabricate it. Okay. You're gonna brine the pork tenderloin. Okay. Or pork loin. If you have any pork belly, you're gonna cure the pork belly. You're gonna rub the ribs. Okay. If you're not gonna marinate them. Okay. You're also gonna brace some additional meat, fine chop or fruit slices to make the pork shoulder, and make pâté brisé. Okay. You're gonna make a pâté brisé tomorrow. That's pie dough, because you're gonna make a quiche with sausage quiche on Thursday. Okay. So tomorrow you're gonna fabricate the pig you're gonna buy. Okay. Fabricate it and get it processed. But you're also gonna make pâté brisé tomorrow. Okay.
You said something about removing the bone from the bone-in tenderloin.
If you do get a bone-in tenderloin, a bone-in pork loin is quite huge. It's about 10 to 15 pounds. You got to remove the loin. But if you don't, yeah, don't have to worry about it. Okay. It's quite big.
Oh, okay. So we don't have to buy it with the bone. I thought we had to buy it with the bone so we could do something with the.
You can buy the little pork rack with the bone-in loin, this little one, and you can fabricate it. Okay.
Okay.
It makes pâté brisé. So you're gonna brine some of the pork tomorrow. Okay. It's all about the brine. Okay. You're gonna brine some pork loin. If you don't get the pork loin, you can brine some pork loin. Okay. So again, how to brine the pork loin? Go ahead.
So the brining, the breaking down, the curing and rubbing and everything, we're doing that in class tomorrow? Or you want us to do that just? Okay, so it's all going to be done in class. We don't brine or rub the ribs or anything prior.
No, you do everything in class tomorrow. So tomorrow you process your pig cuts. Okay, your pork shoulder, pork loin, the ribs, and if you get the pork loin bone in, the rack pork, then you fabricate it all tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
And then, of course, I know how to brine the pork. They should revert you guys back to 201. Okay. Again, brining is easy, economical, and requires no special cookware. Brining is like marinated, keeps food moist and tender. Brining is salting. It's a way of increasing the moisture holding capacity of meat, resulting in moisture product when it's cooked. One of the great things about brining is that there are so few rules. Most brines start with the water and salt. Traditionally, 3/4 pound of salt per 1 gallon of water. Keep that in mind. Okay, 3/4 pound of salt per 1 gallon of water. Okay, but since we're not concerned with the brine and preservatives, you can back up on that salt. Okay, so salt types used for brining. Okay, kosher salt and table salt without iodine is the most common salts used in brining. Sea salt can also be used, but it tends to be quite expensive. Okay, usually use kosher salt. A cup of table salt and a cup of kosher salt are not equal. Don't try to, convert. Okay, table salt weighs approximately 10 ounces per cup, and kosher salt weighs about 5 to 10 ounces per cup, depending on the brand. If using kosher salt in a brine, you must use more than a cup to achieve the same saltiness you would get from a cup of table salt. So, salt substitution chart. The chart shows how to substitute the most popular brands of kosher salt for ordinary table salt. So, 1 cup of table salt with iodine, substitute with Diamond Crystal kosher salt, 2 cups. Morton kosher salt, 1.5 cup. That should be your table how to substitute the salt. Okay. So adding flavor. You can add flavor in all sorts of forms, such as herbs and spices. Use brown sugar, honey, molasses in place of sugar. Some sweetness tends to offset saltiness of the brine, might otherwise impart. You can use apple juice, cider, orange juice, beer, wine, rice wine, vinegar, apple cider vinegar, stock, tea, and other liquids to replace some of the all the water. You can also put together delicately oriental flavoring such as soy sauce or Japanese rice wine mirin in your brine too. So it's all about the flavor. You can substitute the liquid for some of those items in there. Okay. So how long to flavor brine pork? Pork chops, 1 inch to 1.5 inches thick, is 12 to 24 hours. Whole pork loin, 2 to 4 days. Whole pork tenderloin, 6 to 12 hours because it's so small, so tender. Okay. Refrigeration is absolutely required during brining. The meat and brine solution must be kept below 40 degrees in your refrigerator at all times. Refrigerator storing. If storing the meat in the refrigerator during brining, check to make sure that the container will fit in your refrigerator. Don't try to big 5-gallon bucket in your refrigerator. Okay. Cooling and storing. Storing the meat in the cooler during brining, you must keep the meat and brine cold without diluting the mixture. Put the meat and the brine directly in the cooler and place in the Ziploc bags filled with ice or reusable gel packs in the brining solution to keep it as cold as possible. So oven roasting, bag storage. Another approach to putting the meat in the brine is into a turkey oven roasting bag inside the cooler. Then pack ice gel packs around the bag, monitor temperatures in the cooler to make sure it stays below 40 degrees at all times. So you guys might have an issue, you're going in and opening your refrigerator door all day long. So you might want to use some of the ice packs to keep that at 40 degrees as possible. Okay. So here's the pork brine recipe. You guys don't have one. Okay. It's 3/4 cups of kosher salt, 3/4 cups of granulated sugar, 1 cup of boiling water, 1 gallon of cold water, 1 tablespoon of black pepper. Okay. That is an easy brine. Easy. A heavy-duty plastic stainless steel bowl or resealable plastic bag can work as a brining container as long as the pork is fully submerged. Weigh with a plate if necessary to keep the meat fully covered with brine. Determine how much brine you need. Place the meat on the brine of your chosen container. Add water to cover. Remove the meat and measure the water. So put the meat, measure the water, put the meat back in it so it doesn't overflow, and put a weight to keep the meat down because the meat will float to the top. You want to keep it fully submerged in the brine. Dissolve salt and sugar in the boiling water. Add it to the cold water. Add pepper, stir and combine. Chill brine completely in the refrigerator before adding pork. Place the pork in the water and place the refrigerator for the time required. Experiment with seasonings. Salt is essential, but everything else is optional. Consider garlic, ginger, fresh herbs, juniper berries, cloves, cinnamon stick, vanilla bean, mustard seeds, coriander seed, star anise, hot pepper flakes, or Sichuan peppercorns. To give the pork a sweet edge, encourage browning. Add a 1/2 cup of sugar to each quart, 2 quarts of water. Rinse the pork twice after removing the brine solution. Discard the brine. But remember, when you discard it, grab a little colander or a little china cap or something to strain the water out, because if you got spice in it, you want to make sure that you catch them and then go in your sink garbage disposal. Okay. Unless you want to use whatever you want to use for giving the flavor, use it like in a sachet de piece. A little bit of cheesecloth, put your flavorings in it, tie it with a string and set it inside and put the string on the side so we can just remove it and discard the water. Okay. So, but you got to rinse it. You got to desalinate it afterwards. Couple of brining tips. Do not salt brine meat before cooking. Okay. Cook pork according to your favorite recipe. Do not overcook your brine pork. It is brine. It is still raw, but not fresh raw. Okay. Once brine, the pork cooks faster, so be careful and use the thermometer and serve the thickest part of the meat. Remember, it's 155 on the pork. Okay. Internal temperature. So curing pork belly. If you do have pork belly, home cure pork belly bacon. First, cut the belly into approximately 1 pound chunks. Small pieces is easier to handle throughout the processing, so make some logical cuts. Also consider that will be easy to fit in your skillet. Other pieces are about 6 to 8 inches long and 4 inches wide. Slice it up nicely during frying. So the curing mix for the pork belly, if you get a little small piece of pork belly, mix up the salt and sugar, rub evenly on each piece of the belly, making sure to get even coverage. since the salt ratio is important, is therefore it's also important to portion out the salt and sugar rubbed amongst all the pieces of pork belly you have. Okay. How long to cure the pork belly? Pork belly is going to dry cure for 7 days. Okay, 7 days. Sealed up in your refrigerator. Place several pieces of the belly in each resealable bag. Use the ones from Target, which are BPA free. I didn't know that until now. If that's a concern. When closing, try to force out as much air as possible. Place all the sealed belly on a jelly roll pan and place it in the refrigerator for 1 week. So it's gotta cure for 7 days. Okay. At the end of the 7 days, after 1 week has passed, take the belly out of the refrigerator, rinse the belly, and try to remove as much dry cure as possible. Use your hands to scrub the belly under a stream of cold water. Have the pork belly dry paper towels. While drying the belly, fire up your smoker. If you don't have a smoker, you can also use wood chips, from the Home Depot in your oven. Okay, you can also smoke in your oven. Okay, if you don't have smoking, you can use your oven, but alas, you will miss out the smoky flavor. Okay, so you can also smoke in the house in your oven. Okay, so after smoking it, after 2 hours, your pork belly must be almost this delicious looking. It should have that nice golden hue color in the skin. The batch above went for 2.5 hours. The one on the left-hand side, and develop a very strong smoky flavor along with the dark color, keeping the smoking for 2 hours only. So you don't have to smoke it for more than 2 hours. Okay. What else? If you're looking for this internal temperature of 150 degrees, you can also cook the belly in your oven to 200 degrees for 90 minutes. The taste of method as well as it worked, it was just fine. The only shortcoming was a lack of smoky flavor because you're not using the smoker, you're using your stovetop. Okay. And then you got to rest the pork belly. When the pork belly comes to out of the smoker, should be refrigerated overnight so it has time to congeal and reset again. Okay. Has to be the belly has to be firm up. At this point, vacuum pack the bacon if you can, and not in a Ziploc bag is fine. So you can keep it a longer time in the freezer. Although this is going to go fast because it's so delicious. The bacon in the front, the photo from the batch went to 2 hours. Okay, so you can smoke it, keep it in a Ziploc baggie. Okay, remove as much as you can to give it a longer shelf life. Okay, so that's on Tuesday. Tomorrow you're going to fabricate the subprimals tomorrow. Okay, it's all about fabrication tomorrow. And don't forget to make your pate brisette tomorrow. Okay. So you're gonna make a quiche on Friday. So we're making a quiche. What kind of pate brisette you guys are gonna be making? What should you be making? What kind?
A mealy dough.
Right. A mealy dough, not flaky, because mealy dough is gonna go in the bottom. Flaky is always on top. So a mealy dough tomorrow. You guys do have a recipe in your 2-1 Culinary Arts recipe chart from 2-1. You can still get access to that. Okay, so mealy dough on Friday tomorrow. Okay, so that's tomorrow. Okay.
So the pate brisette is all we're presenting tomorrow cooked.
No, you're gonna make it and save the dough. You're not presenting anything. You're just fabricating. If you want to cook some of the pork tomorrow and have some meal, go ahead. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. But the pork belly for all the bacon you were saying, that's just if you want to do it, you can do it because it takes 7 days, so we're not going to be able to present it this week at all.
Right. No. But you can save it. You can also use some of that pork belly for your combination if you freeze it. You got 4-course menu. You got a amuse-bouche, your starter, your entree, and dessert. So if you want to go pork theme on your menu, you can use the pork belly. If you want to use some amuse-bouche, maybe a small charcuterie board, a small something that has pork in it. Okay. So Tuesday is all about fabricating the pork. Nothing to present on Tuesday. Okay. Wednesday. Okay. Wednesday, you're gonna make homemade breakfast sausage from your cuts of meat. You're gonna fabricate tomorrow. Okay. Breakfast sausage. You don't need a stuffer. If you have a grinder, use it. If not, your knife skill sets. Make sure you sharpen your knife tomorrow. Okay. Homemade breakfast sausage and quiche. Okay. That's on third
I
Wednesday.
thought you said that quiche was for Friday, Chef.
No, it's sorry, it's Wednesday.
Okay.
Look at the wrong day. It's Wednesday. The quiche is Wednesday. So make a house-made sausage, prepare quiche and filling, cook out sausage for quiche, bake, and you also got to present a small petite salad. I'm going to give you some ideas. I'll make a little salad, okay? So to make a homemade breakfast sausage, you don't need a grinder. You can use your knife, small, it's very small cut. Or if you have a proof processor, just pulse it. Don't leave it for too long. Otherwise, it'll make a mousse, okay? And also make some sausages. And again, Mr. Christopher, you don't have a grinder or a sausage stuffer or hot casings. You can make it like a hot dog, right, Cam?
Yes, sir.
Remember how you guys made hot dogs in 2-1?
Right, and I wasn't in the group that made the hot link. I mean the wieners, sir. I was in a group where we made sausages. I did Italian sausage, sir.
Okay. So you guys remember how you guys made hot dogs in 2-1?
Yes, sir. But it won't be hard to figure it out.
We did not make hot dogs in 2-1.
I made breakfast sausage as well, a sage breakfast sausage.
Nobody made hot dogs?
No, we didn't either, Chef.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't remember making those, Chef. We made the ones on the left, the little breakfast sausages, but we never made the link sausages.
I think the closest we got to a force meat was doing the chicken. Is it called a terrine?
Right, the terrine.
Yeah.
So when you make sausages, if you don't have the equipment to make them at home, because this is Wednesday, those of you guys, Ms. Kat and Mr. Ron, you guys are going to have the advantage of hopefully getting the casings to make sausages and also the stuffer and the grinder. Okay. For those of you guys at home that don't have the equipment, once you chop your meat, okay, your pork very fine chop, utilize your knife skills, chop it very fine, almost like a grinder kind of texture. Okay, season it, get a little piece, cook it off, and taste it first. You know, even if when you make the homemade breakfast sausage, mix it in, all the spices, the flavoring, take a little piece, cook it off, and taste it. Adjust it before making the breakfast, the homemade breakfast sausage, and adjust the flavorings if you're making the sausages. Because once you make them, okay, you're not going to be able to readjust the flavor on the sausages. The breakfast sausage, yes, you can. If it's too salty, add a little bit more pork. Okay, so be careful on the salt content because pork is high in salinity. Okay, so taste it before you proceed to start processing the sausage with the homemade breakfast sausage. Okay. So anyway,
hey Chef, I thought I heard one of the instructors saying that the school was going to provide us with equipment that we was going to need.
I have no idea about that. I don't know anything about that at all with the equipment because we only got 2 stuffers and the grinders. We used to have 5, but we get down to like 2, I believe. So I haven't heard nothing about that at all. Okay. So if you don't have the equipment, saran wrap on the bottom of your table. Okay. Have your meat already seasoned, cook it, taste it, ready to rock and roll. It's a nice saran wrap. Grab a piping bag if you have one. Cut up a nice little hole in the piping bag. Put your meat in it and pipe a long cylindrical tube, nice and slow, straight on top of the saran wrap. Okay. A long cylindrical tube. Okay. Once you pipe it in, you're going to pipe it about so thick, like the width of a sausage. Grab the one side of the saran wrap and fold it over to meet the other half of the saran wrap. Okay, you're going to grab that sausage that is in the middle of the saran wrap folded. You're going to roll it lightly and then continue to roll it evenly. Okay, until it almost touches the other side of the saran wrap. You're going to grab the sides and then twist it. Okay, tighten it up. As you're rolling it, grabbing the ends, you're going to twist it. It's going to tighten up. The sausage is going to go to the middle. So you're as you keep rolling it, your sausage tube is going to shorten up a little bit. Don't go too short because otherwise it'll be really thick. Okay. Once you have the right consistency, okay, tie up both ends, and with a needle, pick any air bubbles the sausage might have. Okay. And then take about 4 inches and then twist it. Okay, twist it another 4 inches twisted the opposite way, 4 inches twisted the opposite way, and those are going to be your links. Okay, those are going to be your sausage links. So when you tie the both ends, you know, prick any air bubbles in it, and then twist the 4 links at 4 inches one way, 4 inches the other way, 4 inches until you finish the whole length. Okay. So to cook the sausage, you are going to poach it. Poach it in a low simmering water. You can't roast them, so you have to poach them, just like you would do at school with the hot casings. Okay. Poach them until the internal temperature of the sausages reach 165, because that is ground pork. Okay. Once it reaches to 165, remove the saran wrap sausages nice and gently and let them cool down. But make sure before you poach them, they're nice and tight. Okay. Otherwise, they'll loosen up and they'll fall apart and bleed all over the place. Okay. So when you roll them, nice and tight. Okay. Tie them on the end and then twist them nice and tight too. Okay. That is going to be your sausage for the quiche. Okay. Once it's cool and set, then you can unwrap the links, and then maybe sear off to give it the brown color you see in the picture, or you can slice it and then saute it real quickly and use it for your quiche to give it a nice brown color. Okay. And I'm gonna give you some ideas on some an appetit salad for on Wednesday. Okay. Sausage patty is real easy. All you gotta do is, you know, weigh them out all at the same weight, and then just kind of flatten them out. Okay. So homemade breakfast sausage. Here's a quick recipe if you guys don't have one. Okay. 1 pound of lean ground pork. If you guys, you know, again, I'm not gonna say go buy some ground pork, but if that's the right way to go for it. Okay. Half a teaspoon of kosher salt. Half a teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper, half a teaspoon of ground thyme, half a teaspoon of dried rubbed sage, 1 teaspoon light brown sugar or dark brown sugar packed, 1/4 teaspoon of ground allspice, 1/8 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. If you want to use some caraway seeds, you know, you can do so too. Okay. But that's a real easy recipe for breakfast sausages. Okay. And again, mix them all together, take a little piece, cook it up and taste it. Make sure that you adjust the flavors before you proceed making the rest of the breakfast sausages, okay? So what gives the breakfast sausage its flavors? In the US, the predominant flavors used for seasoning are black pepper or white pepper and sage. Although there are varieties of also seasoned with cayenne pepper for the spiciness, even maple syrup, but it's again too expensive. It only comes in season. Some breakfast sausage is flavored with a cured bacon. Breakfast sausage is normally fried in a pan, grill, or microwave, believe it or not. Shame, right? All the labor of love in the microwave? Nah. Is there a difference between breakfast sausage and regular sausage? Breakfast sausage is ground and usually heavily seasoned with a blend of spices that include a mixture of sage, thyme, salt, and pepper. The meat is blend and the link sausage generally smoother, while patty sausage is less homogeneous, though most of the taste buds no less delicious. Okay. So best breakfast sausages. You guys maybe have some of these. Okay. Applegate natural classic pork breakfast sausage. You guys ever heard of that one before? Have you had it?
I don't think so.
I haven't either. I'm not a big breakfast kind of guy. I used to work breakfast in the morning, but we used to get the Cisco name brand. Jimmy Dean. Well, anyways, Applegate. A pop of spice, peppery finish, and clean flavors make this fresh, tender, chewy sausage taste like homemade. 170 calories, 14 grams of fat, 400 milligrams of sodium. Watch out for that old ticker, right? High blood pressure. 11 grams of protein, $5.99 for 7 ounces of Sprouts Market, $3.99 on sale at Safeway. You got Safeway around the house. Okay. Jimmy Dean original pork and turkey heat and serve. Combination of pork and turkey in this tender little sausage offers bold, meaty flavor, but it's a little bit too salty. And
all of these are more salty than the Applegate.
Yeah, take a look at those sodium, right? Right. 210 calories, Jimmy Dean's. 19 grams of fat, 500 milligrams of sodium, 9 grams of protein, $2.50 for 5.5 ounces of Rayleigh's, maybe at Walmart. Okay. Adele's chicken and apple breakfast links. Ham fans appreciate the smoky, sweet sausage despite tough casings and slightly rubbery texture. Yeah, that's true. 120 calories, 8 grams of fat, 416 milligrams of sodium, 8 grams of protein, $4.99 for 8 ounces at Safeway. We used to use it for breakfast. That was another option for people that didn't do swine. Jones All Natural Fully Cooked Turkey Sausage. You're looking for a tiny bite of low-calorie sausage? Manjo the small, juicy, forward turkey sausages made with potato starch, 90 calories, 1.5 grams of fat, 400 milligrams sodium, 10 grams of protein. Okay. All of them.
So Chef, question for you.
Yes.
So what's the difference between these sausages here and the ones that we're having to make? Is it less sodium?
Less sodium and no preservatives because you're not adding any preservatives.
All right, heard.
And then you can't beat homemade, man.
Right, exactly.
Then we go to the next round. Johnsonville original recipe breakfast sausage. Tender bites are big greasy, but the flavor is mild and pleasant. Sausage is likely to please picky eaters. 188 calories, 485 milligrams of sodium. Right, sodium. Fork in the Road Vermont maple syrup breakfast sausage. 160 calories, 400 milligrams sodium. Framanis Mandinara breakfast sausage. Terrific layers of umami flavor make this delicious bite, but the casing is remarkably tough and nearly too tough to swallow. 150 calories, 400 milligrams sodium. Wilshire All Natural Fully Cooked Original Pork Sausage. Pork sausage can be taste so much like ground beef patty. It's a mystery. Flavor isn't bad, but just it doesn't deliver sausage flavor. 188 calories, 400 milligrams sodium. So a lot of sodium in these sausages. A lot of sodium. Okay, so the ones you're going to use, make tomorrow, they're going to have less sodium because you're going to measure it. Okay. Trader Joe's Bavarian Bratwurst Nuremberg sausage. Dense, pale hot dog-like sausage tastes artificial and salty. 213 calories, 18 grams of fat, 470 milligrams of sodium, and 8 grams of protein. Al fresco apple maple chicken sausage. Understated flavor of the chicken doesn't stand up to the sausage big sweet flavors of syrup, brown sugar, apple, and cinnamon. 105 calories, 305 grams of fat, 280 milligrams of sodium. Okay, 280, that's less sodium compared to the rest. Okay, Banquet Browns and Sir Original, also low in sodium too. Well, compared to the other ones. Salt, more salt, and just a little more salt squashes any other flavor in the sausage. 180 calories. 10 milligrams of sodium. Yikes. Okay. So how to make sausage? There's a link here. Okay. How to make link sausages. Let me see if I can. Nope. It won't let me open it. You bastard. Okay. Anyway, just gives you the link how to make sausage, but he does use a grinder and hot casings. So what is the most popular sausage? Top 10 most popular sausage. What do you guys think? What could be in this list?
I'm gonna say number one most popular is bratwurst.
Anyone else?
Andouille.
Andouille, bratwurst.
Hot links.
Hot links.
Earl Campbell's.
Breakfast sausage.
Slim Jims.
Let's take a look at the most popular sausages in the world. Okay. Number 10, black pudding.
Good God.
Okay, we're starting at the bottom, going to the top.
Black pudding is famous British delicacy made from animal blood, usually from pigs, oatmeal, and fat. Combine ingredients are stuffed into a casing. Then the sausage can be then fried, grilled or boiled, sliced, and crumbled. In Manchester, traditionally boiled and served with vinegar, while in other parts of the country, it is something part of the traditional full English breakfast. There's a video on molecular gastronomy by Heston Blumenthal where he talks about black pudding sausage. Number 9, utupensi, popular Czech dish, commonly served in pubs and bars as a snack. Consists of sausages that are pickled in tangy marinade with bay leaves, onions, black pepper, and other spices. Dish is traditionally eaten cold with white bread. Named utupense, translated to drowned men, due to the belief that the inventor of the dish drowned while he was working on his mill. Maybe it was in the sausage. I don't know. Others believe the name comes from the fact that the sausages are drowned in the marinade. One can find it typically through the Czech Republic in bars, homes, and even some restaurants. Liverwurst, number 8. Liverwurst, spicy German sausage consisting combination of ground pork, liver, onions, spices. Sausage traditionally consumed with sauerkraut. Although it can also be used in sandwiches, where liverwurst is sliced and paired with cheese, mustard, pickles, and bread.
Braunschweiger.
Right, might be cooked, but most liverwurst varieties are spreadable and can be consumed uncooked. Apart from the German and Austria, sausage is popular in many other countries such as Slovenia, Serbia, and Romania. Dracula, delicious. And today we have many varieties of liverwurst with additions such as mushrooms and cowberries. Liverwurst. Number 7, salsiccia. Salsiccia is an universal name for the different types of fresh Italian sausage. Usually refers to a sausage made with mince or ground pork meat, pork fat, numerous spices. The mixture is stuffed into a natural pork sheep casing and is rarely cured or smoked. It is sold fresh and intended for grilling or frying. There are many investigations. It is believed that the original salsiccia was created in the region of Basilicata, but the use of fresh sausage has become common that each Italian region has a typical salsiccia type. Sukuk or sujuk, semi-dry, spicy Middle Eastern sausage with high fat content. Traditionally prepared with ground beef and spices such as cumin, salt, paprika, and garlic. Sausage should be dried for at least 3 weeks before consumption. It can be served cold or sliced thinly, but some more commonly fried and paired with eggs and vegetables. In Lebanon, it is consumed with tomatoes and garlic sauce in the pita bread, while in Syria, Egypt, and Iraq, Israel, sukuku is also used in the pastry topping. Oh yeah. Kielbasa, number 5. Kielbasa is generally a term of a group of Polish sausages. The name can be literally translated to as a sausage. Sausage is typically made with pork meat, salt, and various spices, and herbs such as pepper, garlic, marjoram. There might be other types of meat, and in kielbasa, pork is most prevalent variety. Most often, sausages are smoked, and as for consumption, they either boil or fry, depending on the type of kielbasa, initially accompanied with mustard, bread, fried onions, horseradish, specific type of kielbasa called biala kielbasa, traditionally accompanied with the zurek soup, potatoes, and sauerkraut. Number 4, Weberwurst, or white sausage, famous especially the city of Munich. Invented in 1957 by a butcher named Sepp Moser. He was working in a restaurant next to his butcher shop, had to use the last thick sausage skins used to make regular sausages. To solve the problem, he opted for thin skins and made the sausage. He was worried that it would twist open during the frying process, but so he put them in hot water and then cooked it for 10 minutes. After serving the cooked sausages, the guests knew this was praised, and Weberwurst was born. Looks like a chicken sausage. Number 3, we talked about this in regionals. Remember, guys? In Germany, region, currywurst.
Yes, Chef Miguel.
Currywurst, another dish in Germany as well as known as currywurst, street snack that has become indispensable part of Germany's culinary heritage. The dish is made from 2 essential parts: boiled and subsequently fried sausage, served whole or sliced, in a smooth and rich curry spiced tomato sauce, ketchup with curry, with a portion of French fries on a Kaiser roll. On the side of the dish, usually lightly dusted with yellow curry powder. A wide range of sausages are used for currywurst, but the most famous bratwurst is the most commonly used variety. The real star of this dish is the gravy-like sauce made with pureed tomatoes and infused with aromatics curry powder. Number 2, bratwurst. Bratwurst. What was once a term for survival during the cold winter months, and the techniques of not wasting meat scraps is nowadays a delicacy consumed throughout Germany and abroad. Bratwurst stems from 2 words, Old High German word for brat, meaning meat without waste, and wurst, which means sausage. So bratwurst is meat without waste. Bratwurst has origins in Celtics, but the Franconians developed it further. It dates back to the 1300s, the region that will eventually become Eastern Germany. Bratwurst is usually consumed for breakfast due to the tradition of farmers who would make the sausage in the morning and eat it by noon. They would also as it would spoil real easily. Okay. Number 1, chorizo from Spain. Spanish sausage consists.
Yeah, we know.
It is something like a
We're either real excited or stretching, Chef.
It's really salty because they use it in everything. Remember, in Spain, it's used for everything. Chorizo is the Spanish sausage consisting of chopped pork meat and fat that is seasoned with paprika and sometimes garlic. Combination of these ingredients is then stuffed into a natural casing. Chorizo is characterized by its red color due to the sausage special paprika known as pimentón, which is the key ingredient for differences. The Spanish chorizo from other similar sausages has unique, hearty, and spicy flavor. Different versions of chorizos also exist in countries such as Mexico, Puerto Rico, Ecuador, Panama, Argentina, Bolivia, Peru, Colombia, and Uruguay. Some claim that chorizo was originated in Catalan Soroco, while others say it has roots in morcilla, the blood sausage. So chorizo from Spain was number 1. Okay. So on Wednesday, okay, you're going to have a sausage quiche. Okay. Sausage quiche on Wednesday. That's your menu. Okay. That's your menu for Wednesday. Sausage quiche with the sausage you're going to be making on Tuesday. Okay. Tuesday. Sausage quiche. Okay. Here's some cool ideas on a petite salad. Let's say you guys will need some practice on how to make a small little salad. Okay. You got different kinds. You can either take a tomato and maybe make a couscous or quinoa salad, stuff it in it. Or you can have some mixed greens, some slices of avocados, cucumbers, and a little tomato on the middle picture. Okay. You can also have julienne cuts on the bottom left picture. Okay. That's a green papaya salad. Okay. But it can also be cucumber, julienne, no skin on. Okay. Or you can do a bouquet of salad in the middle, a green leaf lettuce. So fine julienne bâtonnet of carrots, some other vegetables, and take a carrot and then use a peeler to slice a thin slice and wrap it around the lettuce so it stays in shape. Or if you want to do like on the right hand side, have everything in line like a Cobb salad. Okay. So just some ideas on the petite salad for what is it, Wednesday?
Wednesday with the quiche as well.
Uh-huh.
Is that the one with the green papaya or cucumber? Are those bean sprouts or fresh basil leaves or something with it?
Fresh basil leaves. And also some cashews, some cherry tomatoes.
Heard, Chef.
So be a little bit artistic and think something different of a salad. Again, this is just some of the ideas on how to plate up a small little salad. Not just, lettuce on the plate and here you go. Okay. So a salad can also be emphasized and be made really, really great. Okay. Salad on Wednesday. Sausage quiche, salad. Okay. Because you're still going to continue to fabricate some of the pig. You're going to make sausages, the breakfast sausage. You're going to make the other sausage. You're going to take time to wrap it, to poach it, let it sit, okay, slice it, mix it in the quiche. You're going to take the pâté brisé out, let it sit at room temperature, first things first. So you can, roll it out, sit on the pie tin, make your custom mix, add whatever you want to add to it, plus the sausage, pour it in it, bake it off, bring it out, let it sit. So it's going to take some time on Wednesday on making that quiche, okay? And a little petite salad to go on the side.
So, Chef, so you want the sausages to be cooked? We're gonna boil them off in the Saran wrap, and then like once they're ready, then we're gonna outline our quiche with it on the inside, or how was that?
You're gonna have your quiche pâté brisé on the pie dough. You're gonna make a custom mix, okay? And then whatever you want to add, maybe spinach or whatever you got in your house as far as produce, go ahead and mix it in with the custom mix, your eggs and cheese, and pour that into the quiche mold. And then go ahead and place your sliced sausages inside that custom mix.
All right, heard. Gotcha.
And then bake it off, okay?
10-4.
So quiche and petite salad. But in the quiche, you can either have spinach, you can have mushrooms, you can have onions, but you gotta have some sausages in it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
and whatever cheese you guys have, cheddar cheese, whatever cheese you guys get in it for your quiche. Okay, so that's Wednesday. Any thoughts on Wednesday?
No, chef.
Nah, chef.
All right. Let's go to
Chef, I just came back in class. My,
what is it?
had died. What was Tuesday again? My Chromebook had died.
Tuesday, just pork fabrication.
Okay. And then we got quiche Wednesday. All right,
You got quiche Wednesday and a petite salad Wednesday. So let's go. Yeah, petite salad.
On the pork fabrication tomorrow, it has to be all those cuts, or can we just choose one?
No, you're gonna have the pork bony shoulder, pork loin, pork ribs to play with. Okay.
So we have to have all of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Chef, so if all of that doesn't fit in my refrigerator, then what am I supposed to do?
Your freezer?
Put it in the freezer?
If it does,
I'm eating the freezer right now. And I'm
yeah, you get a bone-in pork shoulder, which is about 5 pounds. When you fabricate it, it's going to be at least about 3 pounds. You got the pork loin, it's about 1 pound. You got the pork ribs, 1 rack. You can either cut it in half so it'll fit, and you got a little bit of chicken livers to make a terrine.
Okay, so if I already have a pork loin, do I still have to go and purchase another pork loin?
Nope, you already got it.
Okay, this pork loin is boneless though, chef.
Yeah, that's fine. The pork loin is boneless.
Okay.
Only the shoulder is bone-in.
All right, heard.
Okay. So Thursday, okay, you're gonna roast the ribs in the oven for 2 hours. You're gonna present ribs, spatzel, and braised cabbage and mustard sauce. That is your menu for Thursday, okay? So you're gonna have your ribs. You're gonna season them on tomorrow. Once you get them in, you're gonna apply whatever dry rub or wet marinade you're gonna have. You're gonna let them sit in there until Thursday. And Thursday you're gonna roast them for at least 2 hours to become nice and tender. Okay, but slow roast them. Don't roast them in high heat because they're gonna be tough. They're not gonna be nice and tender. Okay, braised cabbage.
Chef, can we?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we smoke the ribs before we put them in the oven?
You can smoke
Or do
them.
you
Yeah.
just want us to put them?
You can smoke
Okay.
them. You got to smoke it. Go ahead and smoke it. Yeah. The reason we have the roasted ribs in the oven because not everybody has a smoker. But if you do have one, use it. Okay. So ribs on Thursday. You also braise cabbage. And remember, braised cabbage is not coleslaw. Don't shred it like chiffonade. Take that the cabbage, cut it in maybe 4s or 8s, and then sear up like a cauliflower steak. Okay, it's not shredded. Okay, and it doesn't take long to braise a cabbage in the oven. It takes maybe 20-30 minutes because it's so tender already.
Is that the mustard sauce on the lower right corner, Chef?
Correct. That's mustard sauce. Okay. You're gonna make also mustard sauce, your choice. Okay. And you're gonna prepare and make spatzel to go with your ribs. Pretty much you're doing almost like a German themed dinner meal on Thursday. Ribs, braised cabbage, spatzel, and mustard sauce. 4 items on Thursday. Okay. And you got.
Are we making our own barbecue sauce, or can we use like one of our favorite ones for the roast ribs?
Well, you can make mustard sauce.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
was looking at the top right.
Yeah. Because it's a German theme meal. Ribs, cabbage, spatzel, and mustard sauce. Okay. And you guys remember how to make spatzel, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, chef.
Okay. All right. So when you make spatzel, remember, the batter needs to be thick, like a thick pancake batter, and you gotta, when you put it on the container where you have the holes in it, if it goes through right quick, you gotta thicken it up more. So it should not go through the holes until you push it. You're gonna have boiling water, cook it like pasta, but once it floats to the water at the top, dish it out, shack it in nice water, dry it out, and saute it in brown butter. It's gonna give it a nice golden crust color on the outside. Okay. When you saute it, don't do a lot of spatzel in the pan, because again, the more spatzel you have in the pan, it's not going to give it that brown color you're looking for. Okay. So ribs, spatzel, And you're also gonna make pizza dough for the next day, okay? Pizza dough for the next day. Because the next day, sorry guys, it's kind of a short day today. You're gonna make pizza dough. You're gonna let it retard in your refrigerator for overnight, okay? Yes, you can use bread flour, but if you have the abilities to buy pizza flour, go ahead and buy it. It's a lot better for pizza. It's 14% protein content versus bread flour. It's about 12, 13%. So it's better suited for pizza, okay?
What about double O flour, chef?
Yeah, that's pizza flour.
All right, heard.
Yeah. And Friday, your chops for the loin, okay? Your roast and chop the pork tenderloin, and also your chops. You're going to use some of the pizza. Now, you don't have to use pineapples and pork in your pizza. That was just an idea, okay? You're going to make a pork pizza, so be creative with your pork pizza on Friday, okay? And let's talk a little bit about history of pizza. Real quick.
Did I see pineapple on that ingredient list for the pizza?
Yeah, you don't have to use pineapple.
I love pineapple, but that's the classic argument. Everybody argues over whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza.
It doesn't.
Yeah, so if you don't want pineapple, then use pineapple, okay? All right, let's take a quick look at the history of pizza, okay? You'll be surprised at some numbers of pizza. This guy's really cool, though. That's where he talks about the umami flavors of, remember we talked about it last block of the leftover pizza on your couch?
Yes, Chef, you said it was, it tastes better.
Yes, it does.
Some sort of reaction happens.
Transformation, as he puts it in a better way.
The first pizzeria in New York is also the first pizzeria in the United States. Lombardi's opened in 1905, just down the street at its original location, when Italian immigrant Gennaro Lombardi decided to convert his grocery into a pizza shop based on the popularity of one of his employees' handmade pies. Now, it's a bit of a family problem, but one estimate for the number of pizza shops in the 5 boroughs is at around 2,000. Many of them serving, and some of them focused on the slice, which incidentally, you can't get at Lombardi's. Only whole pies here, so we're gonna have to go somewhere else. In New York City, this really is something of a staple. I mean, I have heard people describe the New York slice as nothing short of a way of life. Distilled down into this single piece of pizza is the stereotypical New York rush. I want to be served quickly and cheaply. I want to walk and eat and be satisfied and not late for my Idea Channel shoot. Today we're going to talk about many different kinds of pizza, both literal and figurative, back on the Idea Channel set, with pizza, literal pizza, because if we're making an episode about it, it's a business expense. There's evidence going as far back as ancient Rome, Greece, and Egypt that, as Carol Helstosky says in Pizza, A Global History, people used, quote, bread as a plate, which is pizza's essential characteristic besides its main toppings, cheese, tomato sauce, and, as John Green says, possibly other. Bread as plate, Helstosky says, puts pizza in the same lineage as pita, lavash, and tortilla, but what we would point at and go, pizza, didn't come together until 18th century Naples, Italy. Considered low-class food, Neapolitan pizza, which we may call flatbread or thin crust pizza now, was the first widely recognized marriage of bread, tomato, cheese, and possibly other put into an oven and baked, though the possibly other wouldn't become a craze until the mid-20th century. The tomatoes that are so often the base of a slice or a pie didn't make it to Italy from Central and South America until the mid-16th century. Let's just think about that briefly. A time in Italy without tomatoes. When they arrived, it was thanks to the Columbian Exchange. At first, most Europeans thought tomatoes were poisonous, being in the deadly nightshade family of plants, so they were sold as ornaments and decoration, until some brave soul, somewhere, ate one. Golden apple. This puts pizza at a crossroads. Adventurousness and complex economic and cultural trade resulting from colonialism eventually produced a simple, satisfying food with humble origins. Since its start, pizza has depended upon globalization. Trade got the ingredients to Italy, immigration brought it to America, whose cultural dominance brought it to the world. And at the end of that complex process, it's kind of funny to think that we're likely to call something that looks like this fancy pizza. While Neapolitan pizza was rounding out on the western coast, further south in Palermo, Sicily, there was a different square-shaped pie in the works. Sicilian pizza is based on focaccia, a thick bread that's often topped with salt, garlic, and herbs. So while it doesn't resemble the iconic pizza emoji, this is still pizza.
The best pizza I've ever had has been in Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, 6th Avenue and 3rd Street. It's a little corner shop on the little hole in the wall. You walk in, it's a couple of stools, tables, and a counter. You walk in, you order pizza, and I used to order the Sicilian pizza, thick crust pizza. I would eat maybe one slice, and I would have to take the rest home on the subway and train back to my my apartment in Hyde Park, which is about 3 hours away. But it was so good, I always order it. And then they would never sell it by the size. It was only the whole pie. And it was the best one.
Has anybody here ever been to Mangione's in Illinois? No? Oh, well.
No.
That one has a really amazing Sicilian that they only sell by the pie as well.
They're huge and they're thick, but they're so good.
Which is important because though there are first pizzerias, Lombardi's, Antica Pizzeria, Portalba, and Naples, it's tough, if not impossible, to point to a platonic pizza ideal. There's no single original model that all pizza references. The economic climate and poverty-stricken population combined with available materials at pizza's genesis to help feed whole families cheaply in a way that was satisfying and nutritional. More so than many other foods, beyond its central ingredients, pizza is historically a culinary solution to a particular set of economic, cultural, and dietary conundrums which differ between the communities experiencing them. Pizza may have gone global, but it is in some sense always local. Related to the Sicilian slice, but distinct, is what is often called the grandma slice, which admits something great about pizza that I think we rarely confront explicitly. It involves family. Maybe not literally, but gathering around people and sharing a meal with them. I think about this whenever I get a slice from the corner pizza shop. What strangers are eating a slice pulled from the same pie as mine? Who am I, in some distributed and emergent sense, sharing a meal with? Who are my pizza pals, my pie ties, the cheese chums? This is not to say that everything is rosy in the Piazza del Pizza. There are preferences, allegiances, and animosities, perhaps none more pronounced than that between Chicago and New York. At the heart of the geographically reinforced pie dispute is thickness. New York's pizza is thin, like Neapolitan, and Chicago's is deep, like Sicilian. Like most things pizza, it's hard to say who did it first, but Pizzeria Uno is confidently implicated somehow in serving the first Chicago-style deep dish pizza in the 1940s. Chicago deep dish is often thicker than even Sicilian pizza, but still round like a Neapolitan, and more pie-like with a thick, hard crust. Jon Stewart famously called it tomato soup in a bread bowl, which explains why we haven't removed a slice, because there would be an avalanche of tomatoes to clean up, and we still have a lot to shoot. Deep dish devotees, anyway, counter that it's more flavorful, you get more for your money, or simply and inarguably, I just like it more. Back off. While the deep versus thin dispute may be notable, it is not pizza's sole conflict by any means. Rivalry is practically baked into pizza consumption. For one thing, pizza is both customizable and meant to be shared. Everyone who's ever ordered one has argued about toppings. Anchovies over my dead body. Who likes mushrooms? Monsters. For the record, my personal favorite toppings are pineapple and jalapeno. That's not a joke. But then, of course, there's the question of where you even get the pizza. Even within geographic allies, there's disagreement. Do you order from Giordano's or Lou Maltese in Chicago, or probably some other place that I've never heard of because I don't live there? Where in New York is the best slice? DeFara, Anna Maria, Famous Ray's, not Famous Ray's? And if it's not a pizza place, is it delivery? And if not delivery, DiGiorno? Even if you can agree on toppings, you still have to acknowledge that pizza is today and has been for a long time heavily branded and aggressively commercial. This is always my favorite part of eating a DiGiorno pizza. Where preferences can be articulated, they will be commercialized. You want pizza bagels, bites, French bread pizza, pizza burgers, chips, pretzels, combos, or gum? We got you. How about pizza on things? Tattoos and nail art, sure, but what about pizza shirts, hats, hoodies, sunglasses, socks, shoes, shorts, or a pizza wrap for your car? We got you. Come on down to Pizza Town, where everything has pizza on it for some reason. Pizza may be an old world, rustic Italian food, but it's an American phenomenon. Up through the early 20th century, pizza didn't make it far outside of Italy, except to the immigrant communities that brought it with them. But at the end of World War II, GIs stationed in Italy returned home to the United States with a taste for pizza. And what's more, as Helstosky writes, during and after the war, pizza constituted a kind of edible goodwill ambassador, repairing fractured relationships between the United States and Italy. Suddenly, there was a diplomatic and economic imperative to saving a service member's cheese lust. Pizza was sold as cheap, fun, family-friendly, marketed as an easy dinner for the busy housewife. Embiggened by the arguably superficial multiculturalism of the 60s and 70s, pizza went from ethnic food item to product, a process greatly aided by the freezer. Pizza, now frozen, inert, turns from an edible item to a sellable thing. In addition to the freezer, there was also one other piece of technology that helped pizzas rise to ubiquity, and that was the combustion engine. So there's a joke that's in all of the food history books and pizza websites that I read, and it goes something like this. Did you know that the first pizza delivery occurred in 1889? And so you're imagining like some pimply kid in a Dahmer wire wheel pulling up to an Italian villa. What actually happened was that King Umberto and Queen Margherita, after whom the Margherita pizza is named, had the first ever pizza delivery from Raffaele Esposito's Pizzeria di Pietro e Basta Cosi, the man and pizzeria considered the birthplace of modern pizza. I couldn't find in any of the records, though, how much they tipped. But it wasn't until 1961 in the American Midwest at Dominick's, later Domino's.
Check out those numbers. Remember we talked about Hawaii with the Robert Tierra's Hawaiian King Rolls? How he became a multi-million-dollar of just products of Hawaiian King Rolls, which is yeast, water, pineapple juice.
Yeah.
Take a look at those numbers right here, okay? Dominique's, okay?
That pizza forged its interminable relationship with automobiles. Tom Monahan bought the struggling Ypsilanti, Michigan pizzeria Dominick's in 1960 for $500 down. Monahan sold his stake in the company in 1999 for $1 billion. Monahan attributes much of his and the company's success to delivery. In a 2003 interview, Monahan explained that pizzerias offered delivery until they were solvent, after which they stopped. Where other pizzerias saw hassle, Monahan saw dollar signs. And he was right, but only to a degree. The Domino story is a long and super interesting one, even if you don't like their pizza. Longer than we have time to cover here, but I'll put some links in the doodle-doo. Suffice it to say that the delivery racket kind of turned into a death race. As local shops and other chains added engines to their roster, Domino's got edged off the course. It was Domino's, though, that popularized the idea that pizza comes to you. Sure, you can make it at home, but 99% of people don't. I own a Pizza Stone, and I still order pizza from the corner shop on Fridays because delivery pizza is in some way more real pizza. And all the pageantry around it, discussing, ordering, waiting, the arrival, opening the box, which was another hugely important technological development in the commercialization of pizza, all of that is also pizza. Which brings us just momentarily to leftover pizza. What?
Here we go. Remember that leftover pizza? Right?
You said you said it's better. It's the only thing that gets better as it sits out, or something like that.
Correct. Yeah. And the only item you're allowed to eat that is left over on your countertop, couch, floor, through Saturday night shenanigans, you can eat safely.
That's right. That's it.
So here we go. Leftover pizza, the best.
All of that is also pizza, which brings us just momentarily to leftover pizza. What remains on the countertop, in the fridge, in the box, on a plate, in a stack, covered in tinfoil, or left to the elements on Saturday morning. Delicious, delicious leftover breakfast pizza. Don't fool yourself. Though it was made by the same people as that delivery pizza, leftover pizza is a different kind of pizza. It has undergone a transformation. Leftover pizza is somehow more indulgent and maybe a little shameful, but no less awesome. It may be even more awesome. Leftover pizza is also sometimes surprise pizza. Leftover pizza is an artifact that remains, commemorating D&D games or Netflix marathons, all-nighters, hackathons, and various get-togethers. Pizza is so delicious and so powerfully persuasive in its ability to convince you to just have one more slice because of the presence of naturally occurring glutamates in tomato and cheese. You've maybe heard glutamates referred to as umami, and that is what makes slices so neurophysiologically irresistible. But I might argue there's also a romance to pizza that makes it so enjoyable. Leftover pizza doubly so. It's not only laden with that savory flavor magic, but with memories of whatever pizza-fueled shenanigans you got up to the night before, and perhaps need a nice cold slice of pizza to help you recover from it. Carol Helstowski writes, quote, "Today, advertisements for Pizza Hut Poland promote Indian-style pizza. Meanwhile, in India, Pizza Hut's website uses an Australian cartoon to promote their specialty pizzas. It would seem that the globalization of pizza has led to a greater localization of the food as consumers make pizza their own concoction. Yet, somehow, pizza still retains its Italian identity and, to some extent, its American identity." End quote. In Costa Rica, you may find coconut and shrimp on pizza, and in France, egg. German and Japanese pizza is often topped with seafood, tuna and octopus specifically and respectively. This is what I mean when I say, beyond its central ingredients, pizza is historically a culinary solution to a particular set of economic, cultural, and dietary conundrums. It may be fair to say that every culture has its pizza, but it's also increasingly fair to say that many cultures also just have pizza. Pizza is both local and global, thanks in no small part to the long history of commercial and cultural trade, which sustained its economic viability and ability to act as a status marker, a communicator of preference, allegiance, and taste. And if you don't like leftover pineapple and jalapeno New York style pizza, you are objectively wrong.
Deep dish oatmeal pizza with grapefruit topping.
Let us know your thoughts about pizza in the comments below, and I will respond to some of them in next week's comment response video.
What do you guys think? History of pizza.
That was pretty fun. On the subject of leftover pizza, my favorite thing to do is pizza eggs. Like, chop them into little triangles and throw them into omelet, and then cut the omelet into a pizza slice the next day.
Never heard of that one before, but hey, you know.
I like the history behind it and just learning where it came from and like the whole different varieties and variations and how it became. So it's pretty cool.
And like I said, everyone has their own variation of pizza. I never heard of an omelet in a pizza on an omelet, but it sounds interesting because you have the gluten of the dough. I mean, the pizza in it, the crunchiness, the chewiness. Huh? Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, my first time ever hearing something about it. I mean, it sounds pretty good. Something I would give it a shot. But I mean, it's just amazing, like on how certain pizzas, how you can make them, and man, they just come out so good. I did a pulled pork and brisket pizza, jalapenos, and that thing was just awesome. I did a brisket pizza. I was gonna share the pictures with you. I'm out here getting ate up by these mosquitoes.
And on Friday, it's your pizza day. Remember, you're gonna use your pork product for Friday's pizza. You're gonna use sausage for the quiche on Wednesday, and then Friday you're gonna use the pork for your pizza.
There was one pizza that really grossed me out, though. They threw it up real quick. It was Vegemite pizza. It said Kraft Vegemite. Oh, no. No, you can keep that pizza.
There was also one he talked about, kangaroo, and what is it? What else? Something else. Kangaroo, another kind of game meat that was on the pizza from Australia.
And then that seafood pizza, he can keep that one there, too. I don't know about all that though, man.
The octopus is good.
Yeah, I mean, I love seafood, man, but I don't think it would be good on a pizza. They could miss me with that one there, though.
Oh,
Yes,
seafood
sir.
on a pizza? Oh man, we do
Yeah.
do a crawfish with a rose type sauce.
Ooh, crawfish. Okay.
Yeah.
And you got me with that rosé sauce, man. I'm gonna have to try that one there, bud. Yes, sir.
So you're gonna
Crawfish and andouille? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, different
So,
twists.
Chef,
Yes.
so Friday, are we able to come out of the woodworks on this here for Friday? Or are we just only able to use the product that we have?
No, your main item is going to be pork to utilize. Okay.
Yes, sir. So I mean, but we're able to bring the. All right. Heard.
Okay. Correct. You're able to bring that menu up a little bit higher if you have the product. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So Friday's pizza day. Like again, you don't have to use pineapple as the menu says and the lecture. No, you can utilize the pork product, but add something to it to enhance the pork product to complement it, not take away from it. Because the pork is your main item for the pizza day on Friday. So tomorrow, what are we having tomorrow? What are we having tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're having a pork shoulder that we're gonna have to debone. We're gonna have pork loin, and we're gonna have ribs that we're going to be brining.
Okay. So tomorrow's pork fabrication, right?
Pork
Ribs,
fabrication.
Brining.
loin, ribs, and then whatever cut you got for sausage. And Tuesday, what are you making Tuesday?
Tomorrow is Tuesday, Chef.
Tomorrow is Tuesday, Chef.
Wednesday we're having a salad,
breakfast sausage, and
Quiche.
Okay. So you're getting breakfast sausage and quiche because you're making the pate brisket tomorrow for Wednesday. So on your sausage, you don't have to follow the recipe. You can make your own sausage flavorings. Okay. You can add whatever you want to your sausage. That's up to you guys. You want to make a chorizo, you want to make Italian sausage, you want to, whatever sausage you want to make on Wednesday, it's up to you. Okay. So Wednesday sausage, okay, breakfast sausage, regular sausage, and quiche. What about Thursday? Oh, a petit salad. What about Thursday?
Ribs, braised cabbage, mustard sauce, spatzel, and we're preparing the pizza dough.
Correct. And possibly make tomato sauce on Thursday too for the pizza for Friday. But tomato sauce, those of you guys who have already had regional, go back to the 6 days of Spain, France, and Italy, pull up one of those recipes, and there should be a pizza sauce recipe on that portal of recipes. And the pizza sauce is not what we know here in the States. It's not the tomatoes with tomato paste and thick like gruel or grits. Pizza sauce in Italy, it's different. It's very thin, but it's very aromatic with oregano and some other herbs. Okay, so take a look at the recipe. If you want to make that one, go ahead. Okay.
Can we make a pesto? Cause you gave me stuff you gave me pine nuts and I got basil, spinach. I got all that.
Go ahead, make a what is it? A bianca pizza, white pizza with pesto.
Gonna make a pizza.
Yeah, make a pesto with that those ingredients. Whatever you got, for that pizza on Friday, because again, Friday is pizza day. Okay.
I'm gonna make two. I'm gonna make a pork pineapple pizza and I'm gonna make a pesto pizza.
So do an experiment on Friday. Okay. Check this out. Just like you saw, right? Whatever pizza you make, leave 2 slices out of your countertop overnight. Come back Saturday and taste them and let me know your thoughts of the leftover.
The way my roommates eat, it ain't gonna be no slices left.
Leave it in your room, man. Don't leave it in your kitchen.
The way this puppy eat, it ain't gonna be nothing.
Put up higher.
Yeah.
So do that experiment. Leave a pizza out on Friday and then taste it on Saturday. And we will talk about it on Monday coming up next week on week 3. see what you guys thought about the flavor of the leftover pizza on the counter, or not in the refrigerator.
All right. I'm gonna go get some mozzarella from the store then. I'm gonna make my piece a real deal. You know, that Italiano.
Right? You do this?
But hey, chef, so on Friday, we're using the brine pork shoulder to help make the pizza as a topping, right?
I think that's a tenderloin.
Tenderloin, yep.
Tenderloin.
Yeah. Because, Canadian bacon is mostly tenderloin. So that's why it has pork tenderloin and pineapple, because it's supposed to be like a kind of a Hawaiian pizza. But again, your choice on pizza on Friday.
Okay.
So Tuesday, fabricate the pork products tomorrow. Fabricate them. Make the pâté brisé. Wednesday, you make breakfast sausage. You make regular sausage, your choice. And you're going to make a quiche and a little petite salad. Thursday, and again, you're going to, what is it Thursday?
Ribs, cabbage.
And spatzel.
Yeah, and spatzel.
Okay. So, remember spatzel. If you guys already made it in regionals when we went to Germany, you know how to make spatzel. If you made it in Chef Gary's class or foundations, you know how to make spatzel. And again, the recipe on regional cuisine for spatzel is not spatzel because it's called for semolina. Remember that? So don't go off of that recipe. Go for your foundations recipe. Okay. So we have sausages on Wednesday and quiche. You got ribs, spatzel, and cabbage on Thursday. You got pizza on Friday.
Is it okay to request like some sprouts for my petite salad on Wednesday?
I'll see what they got tomorrow when I go in.
Thank you, chef.
Okay. Any
So,
questions?
chef.
Yes.
Yeah, chef. So can I make me do a road trip and come down there and get me some items? You can just sneak them out for me and stuff, man.
I wish I could.
Hey, chef.
Yeah.
Hey, so question.
Answer.
So we basically thawing out. I got to thaw all my meat tomorrow, right? Well, tonight.
Right.
The rib, the tenderloin, and the shoulder.
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay. But we gonna brine in class.
Correct.
All right. All right. That's
You're going
cool.
to brine, break down, and so forth, so on tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow is no presentation until Tuesday. You don't present nothing tomorrow. Okay. If you want to cook a little bit of the pork products so you can have a good meal, go ahead. But tomorrow you don't present anything. Okay.
Yes, chef.
It's just fabrication of the pork products.
Question, chef. If none of our pork products have any bones in them, what are we fabricating?
Well, you're still going to make sausages, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fabrication.
Be a day ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you take a look at your pork products, you're going to have sausage, breakfast sausage. You're going to have regular sausage. You're going to brine the pork tenderloin. What else? You're going to make, and then you're going to make the ribs for Thursday. So you got 3 days of pork products in your dishes. So set them up, figure out what you're going to do, organize yourself, and do your mise en place of pork products for the next 3 days.
Okay.
Okay.
Heard, chef.
Any questions?
No, chef. That's it.
Oh, so what is